Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Teacher's Break Room with Jay and Nicole. Uh, Today's episode's going to take a bit of a different tone. Um, Part of it will be, I would say, somber, um, but uh, there are some good times, some laughs that we can share. A fairly well known teacher and teacher coach, Rich Tweeten, passed away last week, and everybody here has had some of us have had significant contact with him and knew him quite well. Others not so much, but we kind of want to give a farewell to our friend Rich. Nicole.
Yeah, all of us have had some experience with Rich, and actually, Rich introduced me to each and every single one of you. So I have met all of you through him and quite a few other people. He's really increased my online presence with getting in contact with other teachers. Um, I just wanted to give him a farewell and recognize what he's done, who he was. You know, just he was just always there. I mean, I there were times where I was just talking to him every day for like almost a year, literally every morning. "Morning, Rich. How you doing?" And, I think all of us have had different experiences with him, and I think it's just, appropriate to share what he's done and contributed to each one of us and the memories we have of him. So why don't we just introduce ourselves? So, I'm Teacher Cole and we've got Jay. I've met all of you through Rich. But who would like to go first? Hugh, Nash, who would like to go? How do you know Rich?
Go ahead, Nash.
Sure. So Rich was like a mentor to me when I first broke into the sort of online independent teaching world. And to him, I've, yeah, been introduced to the rest of you indirectly and some directly. And I think where he really touched my life is in his determination, persistence, constantly motivated, constantly upbeat in the face of adversity, and coming up with new ideas, and a real bit of a trailblazer, and a character in his own way, but his attitude to life and consistent persistence, in the face of all, you know um, adversity, curveballs, etc., was a real example to me on how to keep going. And there were moments where I questioned whether that was the right path for me, and I was oohing and eyeing, but Rich would um, keep me on the straight and narrow. And I guess I have him to thank for that, because if it weren't for him, I don't know if I would have had the guts or the supports to go solo as I did. And I was kind of thrown into it, and he led me and guided me to where I am today. So I guess I have him to thank largely for that trajectory.
If I remember right, didn't the way that I meet you is that he used me as a reference?
Correct.
Isn't that it?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what it
And he
was.
said
I
I
remember
must
that
get in
now.
touch with you, and he waxed lyrical about you, I must say. And said you were a great example. Although he didn't take all the credit for everything that you did, but he felt privileged to have been a part of
Oh,
your
he was great
journey.
help.
Yeah,
You know, when you
he was a wealth of knowledge. I'll give him that.
he was. When I think of Rich, I think of tenacity. That was the word he liked to use a lot.
That's it.
Tenacity.
Yes.
That's the word I
Yes.
think of. What about you, Hugh? I mean, I think out of all of us, you've known him the longest
Mm.
because Rich introduced me to you, not the other way around.
Yes, yes. Well, I think Rich and me very much were quite passionate about teachers' ability to break out on their own, and we were upset with what was happening in the online space of so many platforms kind of taking advantage of well-meaning teachers, people who did really want to help others learn, and they were getting kind of thrown dimes. And I think Rich, when he made his group, and when he tried to make his build up his coaching in the beginning, he wasn't going for a market that he felt, oh, this is a really rich market, or I can make a killing or something like that. Actually, he's somebody who knew a lot about marketing, and he had a lot of energy to put into it. but he chose to focus on teachers because I think that his heart was in it. He really wanted to see teachers become more successful. And so both of me had him and I, we had a very similar feeling in that manner that, we strongly believe that people, if they just learn a few basic aspects of operating online, they would be able to carve out a livelihood for themselves. And so, especially during the pandemic, but before that as well, we um, we were both very, very passionate about that. And I went on to other things after that. But yeah, Rich kept me as the admin, as his kind of security key for any time he got locked out, because he trusted he trusted me to be available and kind of not steal his group from him. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh man, locked out. Like that was like I
Yes.
don't know how many times that
Oh God.
man would call me and be like, "Can you help me get back into WeChat?" I mean,
Yes, the
he would
WeChat one.
lose cell phones
Oh
like people lose
God.
sunglasses.
Yes. Yes. The amount of cell phones. I think he said he could have kept the cell phone shopkeeper in business, like his kid through school, if I'm not mistaken, were his exact words to me.
Constantly,
I've kept that
constantly.
man through school.
Can you let me back into WeChat? Oh man, I
Yes.
was
The
never
WeChat
ending.
code. Quickly,
Yeah, the
send
WeChat
me
code.
your QR code or whatever it is. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Oh,
I think a couple times I was maxed out on approvals, and so he would ask you. And if I remember right, Hugh,
yes.
his original, remember his T-shirt that he wore with the Canadian flag?
yeah.
Was that a collaboration with you? If I remember right, were you the one that helped him come up with that?
No,
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 it was
that
the
was
other
all
guy.
him.
Okay, that
Yeah,
was
or possibly someone else. I don't know. It looked like it was all him to me. He's a very
no.
creative fellow.
He
Yeah,
is,
Well,
isn't he?
there's
Lively
actually
and
there's a funny story
animated.
behind that, but yeah, he's quite creative. Yeah, he definitely came up with the entire, in for a penny, in for a pound. You know what I mean? However that goes.
Yes.
He definitely, when he went in, he went in.
You
I
know,
think
Oh,
there's
of go
one.
big or go home.
You
indeed.
know what? There's one thing I'll give it to him. He was not afraid to try anything new. I mean, I know we've all seen those videos that he was making. They were a bit cringy. I'm not going to lie. But I'm like, you know what? Who else has the guts to do that? Not many people. Not many people have would even try something like that. He would
True.
try what others aren't doing, you
yeah,
know.
He just never was afraid to reinvent himself
Mhm.
or to go out on a limb and try something new and see if it worked or not.
yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yep.
But I think
I
what a lot
mean,
of
For
people
sure.
didn't see is that he did really, really believe in helping the people that he was trying to reach. So,
Mm,
he may have seemed a bit salesy sometimes and, a bit gimmicky, but he was in
Yeah.
that
yeah,
space because he did care about teachers
Right.
doing well.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
There's no money to be made with teachers, really.
there's not a whole
mm,
lot. Yeah, and he mentioned
Yeah.
that
no,
many, many times,
Yeah.
but he was
Yeah.
still in it. He's still in it, like you said, penny for a in for a penny, in for a pound. He wasn't letting
yeah,
go. He
yeah.
knew I think he saw, perhaps like teacher Cole, like teacher Nash, he saw the difference that it made to a few individuals, and sometimes that's
Mhm.
enough to really keep you going. A lot of people benefit from his group in the early days, especially. Like a
yep,
good percentage of people were getting a lot out of it, especially during the
Yeah.
pandemic, because they realized that, hey, we can set up our own payment service, and the platforms are not really sending us that much. Yes, huge platform, huge reach, but
Mhm.
how many students does a teacher need? That's what Rich and I would always say to the teachers who came, and you need 10, 20 students, 10, 20 good students. And that's enough
Right.
to put bread on the table. And then you can go many places from there. You can set up groups or whatever.
Mm.
well, the thing too is that you're right, 10 to 20, because the referrals that come off of that as well. I mean, the reach becomes, it kind of compounds on itself. I have to admit, I had already been solo for about a year when I found Rich. Um, and it was more not because I didn't know how to do it. It was I didn't know how to market online. I knew how to market in person because I used to do it in person all the time back in the US. And my actually one of my videos that I think I did about 25 revisions on that thing for real. But one of my early videos that is still up and people still see it, that was a huge collaboration with him. And he really gave me some really good ideas and helped me with some scripting. And, he would really like, he was not afraid to tell you if something he thought it sucked. I mean, you could disagree with him, but he'll tell you. He's like,
Mm,
he would just flat out be like, no, that's terrible. I was like, I was
Oh,
like, okay,
bad
tell me how
idea.
you feel.
Mm,
right. Right.
But, it worked though because it got you thinking differently, or he would make suggestions. Even if I didn't like him, he didn't care. He'd make the suggestion, and then but it got you thinking.
mm.
It he helped me out. I used a different website, so I used like Wix, and he was really good on. Oh, I forget the other one. What's the other one? I
WordPress.
wasn't very
Medium?
WordPress.
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 Yeah, he liked
WordPress,
WordPress. Yeah. But he would go through it, and give me, like, suggestions and ideas, and, a lot of his ideas really panned out. They helped me think in a different direction that I wouldn't have thought of. Um, he made me think about, while I'm in it for the kids, I'm also still a business. Now, I have been an entrepreneur before for a long time, but when you deal with, kids and parents, you kind of get into that teacher mindset of, oh, the kids, the kids, the kids. Well, the kids, if you're gonna pay to play.
Right. Right.
Right? It's a business. Um, but the one thing he always, 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 always reiterated over and over again was that he wasn't doing it to get rich. He was already
Mm,
rich.
yeah, it's
Play
already
on his
yeah.
rich.
name.
Yeah.
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 He
That's
was
what he
born
would
rich.
always tell me.
It's true.
He would always play on
It was
his
a
name.
noble.
It was
Yeah.
uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He really did believe in it though. I mean, that was the thing, as salesy as he could be sometimes, but that was just his personality.
Mm,
It didn't bother me. Um, he actually believed it. Like, he wasn't like one of those fluff fly by nights, like, get me your money and I'll just give you a bunch of fluff that anybody could
mm,
give you. He really did believe it. Like,
mm.
he put his weight behind it. He really did believe it. I don't know. Would you guys have any like interesting memories from Rich's time that you spent with him? Fun stories?
I do recall getting these messages at random times, but of course, it was also because the time difference between him and myself. But these weird, interesting, like kind of reminiscing and feeling nostalgic about his past and things that had occurred in his lifetime. And he would kind of spitball. And I wasn't even there at the time. And then he'd have these long sort of like messages going on. But it was kind of interesting. And I would acknowledge them and whatnot. And I felt sort of I don't want to say like honored that he would want to share or reflect with me because it wasn't relevant and it wasn't required and it wasn't necessarily I wasn't, it was extra time that he was spending and giving of himself personally. But at the same time, I will say what I did admire about him, the one area I found really difficult with social media is the constant posting and doing, and it's a drag. I know about you guys, but for me, it's a drag. But
I hear you.
he was so and he's right because it's a daily grind. And he was just committed and didn't bitch and moan. He was like, just get her done. You got to do it. La, 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 la. And he was.
Wow.
And I admired that about him because to me, it was one of the worst parts of the job was the social media, constant connecting, networking, all that. And
Yeah.
he took it in his stride and he said like every day he would just chip away at it and wouldn't bother him.
Yep.
But,
Yep. That's right. And he'd put in the hours doing
yes.
different experiments with social media,
Mm.
and he would spend days and days trying different things. And then when he found something that worked, he would share it with everybody. I think a lot of people miss that. They didn't
The
realize that he was
winning
giving
system.
giving away freebies all the time. Like he's
Yeah,
like,
he
I've
did.
tried
He had a
this,
lot of
it's
How,
a
those.
how
drag, it
much,
doesn't work. I've tried this, it does work.
how much unpaid work did he do to help people? I
Yeah.
know it's a lot. I know it's a
It
lot.
was a
Yes,
w-
a lot.
well, his entire group, like the Road to Going Solo, it's an entire video series, free.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
Like, he put some time into it. And he didn't
And
just
he
do like the
updated
one
it
off either.
over time
He
as well.
updated it all the time. Yeah, he
Yeah,
would spend the time to
modernize
revamp
it.
it and update it. And if something changed, it wasn't working anymore, he'd pull it out and redo that part.
Mhm.
He didn't just let it go stale and sit there.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, the social media. I know what was his run? I think it was of like 3 years or something. It was a really long time where he literally posted every day and didn't miss a day.
Wow.
He's very diligent, very, very diligent. And look, if you found
Very.
it hard to bring up new content, he'd bring up
Mm,
old content and give a new
yeah,
spin, and he'd bring up his favorites. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I think he's a good example for others also on how to be consistent in that space. Yeah, I mean, if you're wondering how to be tenacious and be consistent, go over to Rich's group and have a look how he lived. It's a beautiful example. Mm.
true.
Oh,
And he would bring up topical issues, whatever, because as the whole online teaching situation would shift and it adjust according to the time and where we were economically and in the world, etc. He would follow through, and then he would do a new video addressing that particular area, and make it relevant. And he had an ability to constantly keep doing that and making it um, helpful and relevant, but still. I still don't know how he got the balance between giving enough so that it would still be fruitful for him financially, but also helpful for people at the same time without giving away too much. Hello.
the boy.
The boy.
Yeah.
I
The
don't
boy.
know. I don't know Nash whether he did do that. I think he was making a bit of a nice income through his teaching students directly. And I think
Mm,
honestly, what he did for teachers was, yes, he wanted to be valued. He didn't want people just come in and use his time up. Nobody wants to
Mm,
be
mm.
used,
Taken
right?
advantage of.
Yeah, but I think it was very much a work of love, and you can just see the
Mm.
amount he gave away. Like, I think he wasn't really thinking too hard about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
well, I mean, he worked with me for a couple of years, and, I was one of his original coaching endeavors, and so I had, like, that grandfathered price where as long as I kept it, it never went up. It was an awesome deal. Could never best deal I ever made. But, he actually did the work. Like, he would do the stuff, and he'd be on your tail if you weren't turning in the things that he needed to get his
Mm,
portion done. I
right.
mean, and he didn't just do social media. He dialed in everything. Like, he had your emails going out, he was doing follow-ups on like in Messenger or WeChat or wherever it was that you were at. He was checking in on other
Mm,
groups and seeing what they were doing and what was the current conversation, and he was bringing it into his group. I mean, he did an insane amount of stuff, and he was extremely tactical about it. Like, he
Mhm.
had this time to do this in this order. He shared it with
mm,
me one time. He called it the winning system. And I saw, I mean, that's what he called it, but he would just tick, 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 tick
right.
down the list and be done. And then he would also teach his lessons too, but the one thing I liked about him is that as much as he put into it, he still had a life though. I mean, he went out and had
Mm,
fun. He lived just as big outside of
mm,
this
yeah.
world as he
Yes.
did in this world. Well, he did. He
True.
definitely has a presence.
Tim, you know what I've been concerned about? I know it's on maybe frill, is his cat. Because he got that cat he was all excited
Lucky.
about towards the end. And I'm thinking, who's going to take care of Lucky? It's weird. It came
Uh
into my head. And it's just, yeah,
he
I know
shares
he was
custody with the
excited about
cat.
it.
I know this for a fact. He shares custody with the cat. And so
Okay.
I'm sure the other
Okay.
one will
So at
get
least the
custody
cat
of
is
the
taken
cat.
care of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes,
Okay.
Lucky was a definite, mainstay for him since he got the cat. Yeah, Lucky.
Dang. Yeah.
I'd always hear that in the background, that cat. The
Yeah.
cat that he never got fixed, and so it would go into heat and go "Meow,"
Yeah.
constantly in the background.
Oh
It was
my God.
awesome. Oh
You know,
my goodness.
I met
Uh,
Rich through his coaching. I was one of his mentee, whatever you call
mm,
it,
yeah.
students, whatever. I don't know what to call it.
And tea.
For a little while. And I would just say our personalities were like they didn't we clashed a lot. We clashed a lot. And we both we by the end of it, we both told each other to go F off. but
I remember this.
but
Didn't mince
we
words there.
there was nothing personal about it. It was just a business thing. And we ended up squashing that a while later, and we had him on the podcast. He was fun on the podcast. He's definitely, I ran into him also in another podcast. I don't know what it was. It was some online thing, and he was one of the guest speakers. Now, we hadn't
Ah.
squashed our thing yet, so I just left my camera off. Didn't want him to know it was me. But he had some really good things to say. And unfortunately, that was like a long time ago. I don't remember exactly what was said, but it was a teacher forum thing. I don't remember which one it was. But he had a lot of good things to say. And like I said, even though we clashed, doesn't mean I didn't listen to the things he had to say. I still, yeah, ours was personality driven, but um, um, on the doing the work side, personality outside of the work thing is no problem. There's no problem. But yeah, we had a fun time.
Well,
You know
actually,
what he
he
meant? Yeah. Sorry,
no,
Cole.
go ahead. Go
Uh,
ahead. Go, go.
you know what he mastered, and I actually discussed this with you, Cole, before, if you recall.
Uh,
There were times where I was oohing and ahhing, like where I had a little bit of a moment of self doubt about the trajectory of online teaching. I'd had a couple of students leave, and I wasn't sure, is this for me? Is this not for me? And he had this unique way of making you want to stay, like feeling not guilty, but like you'd be cutting your nose to spite your face, so to speak, if you were to leave him at that point. It's premature, it's not right. And he had this way of working on your subconscious without making it look like that's what he was doing. And you'd think it was coming from you, but he had a brilliant way of wording it in such a way that it would plant this seed in your mind and sit with me. And I would sit there and I'd feel like, "Ah, am I doing the right thing?" And I would question whether what I was doing was right. And he did it in such a brilliant way. It was like flawless. And I actually went to him and I said, I want to know how you do this because I want to be able to do this with my students.
right.
Like you
Right.
master the art of doing this. Tell me, oh, Obi-Wan Kenobi, teach me how you do
Oh, wise one.
you know it was like you master the art of the just enough guilt to keep you want to go, but questioning yourself rather than questioning him. And it was a skill, and I wanted to learn that, and fortunately I can't say I really did, but I felt like he had that waxed. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe in his sales time, but he was really good at that. You know what I'm talking about, Cole? I discussed this
Yeah.
with you once or twice. I
Yeah.
said, how does this man pull this off? He does it such a delicate balance.
Right.
He's
I
he's
actually
quite good
told
at
him
that.
that. I
Yeah.
actually told
Yeah.
him that. Yeah.
I was always impressed with his ability to like not be embarrassed. And I don't mean this in a bad way. Like he would put himself out there in a way. Well, I mean, there could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
But
know,
like
no, he
he's
was. He was
not
fearless.
embarrassed. Like he'll just try it. He doesn't care. He
right.
doesn't care it's on camera. He doesn't care. It's like he I mean, he will do some stuff where you're just like, what? And then he would do some other stuff that was really great.
Mhm.
And I had an issue when I was first starting I think story time with teacher Cole, right? And I was having a hard time like doing the videos, and I was having a hard time like coming up with what to say. And when I would see how he would do stuff, I was like, this man has no fear. Like
Mm,
I don't usually care what people think of me, but it's a whole different realm to be like on a video. For some reason, it was a
mm,
completely different mind trip. And I took a page from his book and I was just like, at the end of the day, these people don't live with me and they're not paying my bills at the moment. So, okay, and I just went for it. But, seeing somebody else willing to put themselves out there, fail or flop,
mm,
fabulous. Uh, it made it much easier for me to put myself out there where, you could see somebody be wild and crazy or completely fail and just kept going. Okay, that didn't work. Let's do something different. I don't know, it made you see the reality behind it. He also wasn't really, overly technical, like, everything didn't have to be picture
mm.
perfect,
Perfect.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like an Instagram moment, it was raw, real, and that's how it was, and his famous saying to me when I was making my first promotional video was, "Good enough for now. You can always go back and fix it later." Kinda like what he did with the road to going solo videos, right?
Yeah.
It's good enough for now, get it out there. If you don't like it, work on it and
Change it.
re-release it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think
It
it's a
was
great example of done is better than perfect. And so he was prolific in producing things, and I think that's what he tried to teach everybody else as well. He said, "Well, look at me. I can do it with a phone. I can do it with a badly lit room. I can do it with badly
The
thought out."
world's oldest
Yeah,
laptop on earth.
yeah, and make it work, and make it
Right.
work, and not even thinking twice about it. And I think
Mm.
Yeah.
a lot of people kind of get that, but they want things to look polished and wonderful.
Mm.
But what Rich tried to say was, no, you just need, again, that certain number of eyeballs on you, and
Yep.
your book solid.
You just had
Yeah,
to be out there. You just had to
Yeah.
go for it. You had to reach for it and grab for it. That's really what his thing was. It's like, just grab for it.
Just go
You
for
know,
it. Yeah.
it'll never
It's a
happen
numbers
until
game
you
as well.
grab.
You would always
Yeah,
say it's a
right?
numbers game. It's a numbers game. Just keep going
yes.
until you get the numbers. Mm.
Exactly. Okay, does anybody have a uniquely rich story by any chance? That's
It's,
terrible.
I don't know. I mean, it,
Tell us,
It's been a
hey,
long teaching day. I'm
Nicole,
going to blame it on that.
Oh, I got
Nicole,
a couple. My favorite
tell
are
us
the
about
oh yeah.
the text messages you used to get.
Oh, yes. Well, we are adults and adults like to have adult time fun at the bars.
Oh, the rambles? The rambles, that's what you were
Yes.
talking
The,
about too. The
the, the ones you
rambling?
would get
Yeah.
to. Yeah, so
I
she
got
was
them too.
alluding
That's
to
the
it.
ones I was kind of saying when you would get personal and ramble and
We
reminisce
would
and
get
get
the
nostalgic.
yeah, we would get the inebriated,
Mm.
fun friend messages.
Remember, I said to you, I think he's had a beer or two when he's sending them because he can tell by his speech because it's considerably
But
more.
we had all moved into like the really close friend realms at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
we started out as business, but we all ended up just being
Mm.
really close friends over the years. And he was a great guy, but is just much of a presence as he was in his business. He was just as much of a presence with his friends, enjoying life.
Yeah,
He was just really big on all of that. He was just
big personality. Mm.
big, no matter where it was, where he was at. And he shared. I mean, one of the best messages he's ever given me was he decided to sing me happy birthday on my birthday. And he has a surprisingly really good voice.
Yes, he
Really?
does. You're right.
oh, it
I've
is.
Yes,
heard
he
That
can
him.
sing.
I have
doesn't
heard
surprise
him.
me.
He does. You're right.
Yeah,
I think he did it
he
to me
can
once potentially
sing.
as well. I was impressed. He said, "You got
Yeah,
talent."
he
And he,
does.
I think
He
he said
can
it's something to do
sing.
with his brother from the family. He said because his
Mm.
brother is also a pianist or something. So I think it ran in the family. I don't know.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, but he would care like that. Like he remembered, and he cared like that. And he would ask me like about my things that he would remember that I had talked about. He wasn't just somebody who was there for the money. Like he actually really cared about. He remembered details.
Mm,
His ability to recall details and ask you about them later as a
mm,
friend.
you're right.
It
Personal
was
stuff.
it was
Mm,
yeah, it was really great. So yeah, he had an interesting philosophy of life, but I just loved that he lived big like that and he really liked the cat. He really loved the cat. Lucky.
good.
He was
Lucky
planning to
wasn't
come
so
to the
lucky.
Philippines.
Shame.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah, he had made plans to come to the Philippines next year
Did
actually, this year.
Was he targeting any specific area yet, or still researching?
Actually, he was going to stay with me for a little while, because I have a guest house.
Mhm.
And I had given him a quite detailed list of some places that he had told me the things he was looking for, and I know the things that he's interested in. And so I had given him a list of the areas that had those amenities, and so he was gonna go check them out. He was thinking of actually moving from Cambodia to the Philippines for a change. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, he was. So that's why I was like, "Oh, well." And I know that he's been doing a lot of, trips to Vietnam as well. He was doing that podcast, right, or the videos, and, like, what expats want to know, and also
Yeah.
in Cambodia itself. So, yeah, like I said, he just
He
no
lived
fear.
loud,
Yep, lived loud.
loud and proud.
Exactly.
Mm.
So what is the one thing or couple of things that you would like to take forward from your experience with Rich?
I think
Persistence in the
you're gonna
space of
find it very
adversity.
hard up.
Mm.
You're gonna find it
Sorry,
hard
you
up
keep going.
to find somebody who's as giving as Rich was. I think, he's one of those rare gems that people, maybe overlook on the internet,
Mhm.
but he was always giving solid things, and he was always giving people a lot of his time. And I think he did kind of guard himself. He didn't want to, like I said, he didn't want to be used. He wanted to be valued, which is fair enough. Um, I think a lot of people missed out on giving Rich a go, maybe because, again, the production quality wasn't there, or it was less than polished or something like that. But like you said, if you came on as Rich's client, he would give his full passion to want to see you successful.
Yep.
He'd be really in it, committed, and I think that's rare. To find
Yeah.
somebody who's willing to do that. And he's living in Cambodia, so he's kind of an adventurer as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, from
Yeah,
China to Cambodia, right? And then all
yeah, he
around.
was an adventurer. And I think that's other people actually benefit from that. If you
You know,
think your average person in Canada or the US, they're just too busy trying to survive. And
I
Mm.
then because Rich kind of sailed lean, he had just so much time to give people and to help others.
one of the things that I took away from him was I paid attention to. We were in a lot of the same groups, but even in his own group, he treated everybody the same. He treated
Yep.
everybody the same. He would give the same advice that he would give to somebody from the US or England or wherever as he would from, some of the countries like the Philippines where teachers don't make a lot of money and they're probably never going to pay for his services, but he would give the same level of quality of advice that he would give anybody else. He didn't worry about, well, I'm not going to make any money off this person, so I'm not going to
Mm.
answer. You know, he
No, he
he
answered.
he yep, he did that.
Yeah, I think that's revealing. That's showing where,
Yep,
where his heart was actually at. Yeah, and I think, like I said, a lot of people miss that.
I
for
agree
sure.
a lot. What about you, Nash? What are you going to take
Yeah.
forward about from Rich?
I think his altruism, his zest for life, his quest for knowledge, um, bettering himself and making the world a better place, and making a mark on the world and the people around him, and having value and just contributing to the world, as well as obviously trying to make a living. But the one didn't necessarily, was not compromising upon the other. He found a way to unique, to feel both of them could coexist in a balanced way in his world. And I think he was just, yeah, like I said, a trailblazer, you know, um, lived larger than life, unapologetic, fearlessly, passionately, all those things. Yeah.
I
Think
agree with
also
all
to
that.
let go of the need for perfectionism, which I know I'm guilty of. And he, interestingly enough, used to tell me he was actually the same and he had to get over it. He had to train himself and teach himself to get over it. And the fact that he was like that, even though at times watching his videos you wouldn't think so, I found it interesting that if he could, in a way that, like, one wouldn't have even maybe suspected that there was a level of perfectionism underneath it, because he was so spontaneous and, fly by night, and just, whatever, kind of taking in whatever was happening at the time and giving it, being creative. He managed to master that, and I thought, well, if he can, then there's no excuse for me. So yeah, I got over. I helped me get over myself sometimes through
Yeah.
through the way that he was living his life.
Would
Yeah,
you say he took the time to see things in people that perhaps they didn't see in themselves?
Yep.
very true.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. And I think he had a unique ability to see it and then try to maybe hone it as your shtick, right? The thing that made you unique in your
Sure.
production, in the
Yeah.
way that you acquired students, because we're all kind of in the same universe, right? So how are we different from each other? And he was really good at finding that one quality and kind of like pushing you to show it. Again, the fearless. See, that's what I'll take from him, is being
Mm.
fearless.
Fearless.
You know, don't hold myself back out of fear, right? If it doesn't
Yeah.
work, it doesn't work. It's not the end of the world. You know,
Yeah.
Feel
Put
the
that
fear and
crazy
do it
video
anyway,
up
as they
there.
say. Yeah.
right? Put that crazy video up there, right?
Put it up there.
Get
Throw
her
it up
done. Get her
That's it.
done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh,
Get her done. Good for now, right?
That's it.
Done is
yeah.
Be
better than not
yourself.
done at
Be
all.
yourself. Everyone else is taken. And I think there's only if you scour the internet for the next few decades, you'll still only find one Rich Tweeten.
That
True.
is definitely true. Absolutely. Well, Rich, you're an amazing guy. You touched many people and you're going to be sorely missed. I'm going to miss my morning. Hey, Rich, what's up? I miss those conversations.
And those little rambles.
Yes, I love it. I'm going to miss that. It's going to feel lonely for a while. All right, you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you, everybody, for
Thanks.
showing up. All right. Does anybody have any final words, or are we going to call it a night? Call it a night. All
Call it.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
Rich. We all will miss you. See you
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks, Rich.
Cheers.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks, man.
Rich. Thanks, everyone. Bye.